My people, how we doing? This will be the start of my first official YouTube video. And what I plan to do, as organized as I can, is just introduce myself, my lifestyle, routine, habits, things I plan to talk about. I'm going to do my best not to say every single time I lose my train of thought. But I'm 33 years old. I'm a regular dude, but I like to consider myself not a normie. I'm going to be using, I guess you would say, a lot of buzzwords here and there to describe my thoughts, my beliefs. And right now, normie being red-pilled in terms of intersexual dynamics, politics, female nature, manhood. I pride myself in not being the stereotypical normie, wakes up, goes to work, binges on junk food, seed oils, watches Netflix, video games, simps to their wives. They're petrified of their wives. They got one-itis. They're petrified of losing their wife or girlfriend. They think that's their soulmate. I'm kind of just, winging it here. I'm recording right now on Instagram. I noticed that I can do a 20-minute reel, so that's what I'm using right now to record. But I'm just kind of winging it. I took some notes of things I want to say to introduce myself and what I want to talk about. And I'm going to do my best to articulate myself and bring things back without people wondering where the hell I'm going with things. I'm also going to do my best not to swear because I don't really know. I predominantly consume beneficial YouTube content, right? Like, I don't like consuming brain rot, and that's pretty much one of the things I wrote down here that I wanted to talk about. So I don't really know the guidelines for the most part with YouTube. I just know from people I watch like Myron Gaines, Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan, all these people. There's a lot more that I'm going to name that I keep up with. But predominantly I consume podcasts and beneficial content for my growth that's teaching me something. Every so often here and there I'll, engage in something that's not necessarily beneficial to my growth or something that you can classify as brain rot. But the overwhelming majority of the time, like I got 2 sets of AirPods. I got one pair in right now. Here's another one. I got AirPods in my ears 24/7. And I got a podcast or something beneficial to me and my growth as a man. Something on 24/7. I have an issue. There's something I call earning your comfort, right? And that is like when you wake up, you're disciplined as a man. You train weights, train martial arts, take care of yourself, personal hygiene, so on and so forth. Make your bed and perform some sort of self-induced suffering to earn your comfort, right? So the reason I even bring that up is because I just train weights. I had a pretty hard session. Normally after this, I train jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and then I go to work. But for me personally, I still have a hard time justifying the activity of sitting down and watching some mindless nonsense on Netflix, despite earning my comfort. So that's what I'm trying to say with that. So yeah, for the most part, I consume podcasts that are beneficial in some way, shape, or form. What I'm going to be talking about a lot is some politics, female nature, intersexual dynamics, the red pill, manhood, what I believe a man is, how I believe a man should act. I was looking up videos yesterday for advice and tips on how to make YouTube videos and stuff. And I came across a lot of videos that were breaking down how to make shorts using like movie clips and how to generate revenue and money easily from making these shorts and stuff. And it made me realize, like, that's just brain rot. It's just brain rot. I want to make valuable content. Like, I want to be beneficial to other men and young men specifically because I'm 33 years old. Guys like David Goggins, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson at one point in time was a huge inspiration to me, but that's a different topic. Jocko Willink, Myron Gaines, Andrew Tate. I've used a lot of these guys as sources of inspiration to shape myself, who I am as a man, my beliefs, how I carry myself. I read a lot of self-improvement books, Book of Five Rings I got right here. I just finished The Comfort Crisis. I'm reading Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink right now. I got Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I'm big in self-improvement, and I think it goes without saying today for us men, it's more difficult than it ever has been before to be a man today, right? Obviously, we're in the most comfortable times of all time. Technology, modern comforts, like we are spoiled. When you watch, any sort of show that depicts how our ancestors lived, like I said, I don't really watch TV shows that much, but when I have, like Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, those shows come to mind because of how our ancestors used to survive. Today, we are spoiled. Like, bro, I am soft as baby shit compared to my ancestors. I am soft as baby shit, okay? So we are spoiled today when it comes to modern comfort. But with that said, it's still extremely difficult to be a man today. There is a lot of nonsense like toxic masculinity, these buzzwords. What was the other shit that these whack jobs had? Mansplaining, if you spread your legs or some shit. Like, just the attack on men, for if there's going to be anybody that tries to dispute this, they're just in la la land, they're delusional, they're coping. There's a blatant attack on men. There's a blatant attack on traditional modern masculinity. So to circle back, I was watching these videos and I'm like, I don't want to make brain rot. I'm not perfect, dude. I'm going to be saying this a lot because I've had 6 Instagram accounts banned for saying, stuff that I guess you would consider radical and extreme for today. But what I've noticed with my Instagram accounts is I would do rants like this. And I would notice that some men would take it as me coming off as if I got all the answers, I'm perfect, I don't make mistakes, I know exactly what to do for every situation with women as a man in life. That's not the case. It's not the case. But I have put in a lot of work, and I spent a lot of time investing in who I am as a man and consuming content that is beneficial to my growth. Specifically off the top of my head, the Red Pill, Female Nature, Intersexual Dynamics. I believe wholeheartedly that today I can sit down with all the top Red Pill content creators like Myron Gaines, Rollo Tomasi, Michael Sartain, and I can have a conversation with them and not skip a beat. I've never missed an episode of Fresh and Fit. There's been over 4,062 different women, I believe, aged 18 to 60 with 552 different career paths on that show since Fresh and Fit came out with Myron Fresh. I've never missed an episode. I will admit, I have sort of missed the episodes where Myron's not on. I will admit that. That's no hate to Fresh or whoever, if some insane chance any of them ever see this. But I've consumed Red Pill content in terms of intersexual dynamics in really, really big amounts. And it's given me the information and the ability to really apply it as well as advise people on it. And the Red Pill gets a lot of hate in terms of society. Piers Morgan has had guys on like Andrew Tate. That Netflix documentary just came out, the Manosphere or something like that. And that guy Louis Theroux, he already edited the content, which Myron was smart enough to record himself so he can expose the fact that he knew they were going to do that to begin with. And that's just a perfect example of where we are today with society and how people are just so dishonest. Like they want to edit and cut and snip stuff to paint a picture and push a narrative. And that's another thing that I'm going to focus on a lot that I haven't really written down is the truth. In my bio, I specifically have a quote that says, if you wish to offend a weak man, tell him the truth. And if you wish to offend a strong man, tell him a lie. I pride myself in functioning in the cold, hard, brutal truth and reality of life. And the Red Pill with Female Nature specifically is considered the cold, hard, brutal truth because when you learn about female nature, it's quite brutal. It's quite brutal. It's quite cold. Women evolved as the weaker sex, so they've had to form traits and characteristics to survive and especially today with modern social media, their hypergamy has been enhanced at an all-time high. So women today are more ruthless now than ever. I see guys like Clavicular streaming, that kid Clavicular, young kid, good-looking kid. I'm not really the biggest fan of that looks maxing shit. There's some words I'd like to use here, but I'm pretty sure it would mess my post up or censor it somehow, so I'm not going to use it. But this kid has, at the very least, been exposing modern female nature at an all-time high. He's going out to clubs, going out to events, and there's women with boyfriends, whether it's Valentine's Day. There's women that are married with husbands and children at home. It don't matter. They're cheating on their husbands. They're leaving their boyfriends right in front of them, right in front of their boyfriend. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So that's going to be something that I talk about a lot for sure, because I think it needs to be talked about, and I know that that's something I'm pretty good at and that I have a lot of knowledge in. But I'm going to talk about discipline as a man, how much I procrastinated. I also take a lot of pride in being really upfront with everything. I'm going to do my best to expose my weaknesses, my bad habits, because I strongly believe in order to really get your message across and relate with other men, which, like, I genuinely want to see other men better themselves, because as a man, I understand how hard it is today and how hard self-improvement is today. I understand what heartbreak is. I have a good understanding of addiction. I'm 33 years old. I like to say that any dark days and pain and struggle have been induced from my own stupidity and my own weakness, but it still has made me have to overcome things. And I think it's important to express my bad habits, my weaknesses, without giving away too much. Like in today's day and age, there's a lot of that doxing shit. I don't want to get fired from my job. I don't want my family members to get harmed. And the content that I consume and the content that I plan to dish out has definitely made a lot of people do death threats and dox people and threaten. And that's something that's really kept me from doing this for a long time. I think it's sort of an excuse. I procrastinated this. It's 2026. I'm pretty sure since like 2022. Ugh, it's disgusting to even say. I'm pretty sure since 2022 I've been planning on doing this. For 4 years. I got a journal. I got a journal right here. This is actually a jiu-jitsu journal that I started every time I go to jiu-jitsu. When I'd get out, I would write down the techniques because I forget them so much, and it would help me. But I have journals, and in the journals, I look at the dates, and it's like, 2022, start YouTube and Rumble channel today. So it's gross to look back at how much I procrastinated, because I know this is going to be difficult. I don't expect to have 100,000 subscribers in maybe years. I don't expect to have 100 subscribers in maybe months. But I have to start, and that's something that I've wanted to talk about, is how much I procrastinated and how much time I've wasted, as if I have time on my side. I could be looking back right now at 4 years ago, and I could have already started this. I've wasted 4 years of my life. And that brings me back to another thing. At 33 years old, I look back at my 20s, and it disgusts me how much I've wasted it. Predominantly, since I've been 17 years old, I've been training weights and martial arts on and off. I was never a big drinker. Literally never a big drinker. I've been drunk maybe 10 times in my entire life. And that's not from willpower. That's literally from the fact that I don't like alcohol. So when I say this, a lot of people, wow, that's really good for you, man. Good for you. It's good for me if I avoid ice cream, because I have the urge to eat ice cream right now, despite getting out of training. When I have to avoid something like that, that's strong willpower. So this is probably an example of how honest and upfront I am. Like, I don't really want to take that as a compliment, because I genuinely don't like alcohol or being drunk. It doesn't feel good to me. Other drugs I've sadly abused in the past have felt good, and I've had to use willpower and discipline to avoid those things. But I look back at my 20s, and it disgusts me how much time I've wasted. So I've kind of took it upon myself. Anytime I meet somebody in their early 20s, I try to give them advice and tell them not to make the same mistakes as me. And that's what I plan to do with this channel as well. I plan to use the stupidity and the weaknesses and bad habits and the dumb things I've done to hopefully guide other young men from making those same mistakes. So we're in a crazy day and age right now. We're in a crazy day and age, and I just don't want to, God willing, I make it to 60, 70, 80 years old, and I look back and wish I could have started this sooner, because I'm already doing that. 33 years old, I look back at my journals, and I see the dates, and I wish I would have started. You know what I mean? So, like, despite having a lot of doubts and insecurities right now and how well I'm going to do at this, I don't know shit. I don't know how to do thumbnails. I don't know how to caption stuff. I don't know how to use hashtags. I don't know the best time to post, the algorithm. But that should, bring me to say I plan to post a video Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I was looking into a little bit of how often I should post, and according to what I've read, volume in terms of, I was planning on posting every day. I used to believe for a lot of things, the more you put into it, the more you get out. But according to what I've read, that's not necessarily the case with YouTube. So yeah, I don't want to look back one day and regret not starting sooner. So I don't know where this is going to take me. I have no idea. I got goals, I got plans, but as I said earlier, I don't want to make brain rot content. I'm not here to just earn money off men mindlessly drooling on themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I take pride in not being this mindless, indifferent normie. There's so many instances where I'm watching videos on social media, Instagram, people in New York seeing a woman getting harmed, and dudes are just recording. Seeing a child get... There's that one video, I don't got a lot of time here, but there's that one video where they did an experiment where they would kidnap a kid in front of people just to see how people would react, just to exemplify how bad our situational awareness is today and how much we're stuck on our phones looking down. And these people were pretending to kidnap kids in front of grown men, and very few grown men. Like, even some men that seen it were trying to help. So it disgusts me how mindless we become, and how we just sit and watch brain rot all day long, pointless Netflix shows, pointless content, and you just drool on yourself. So as I was looking up advice on how to, make YouTube videos and stuff, there's all these channels make money quick with shorts and movie clips and video game clips and sports clips. And it's like, I don't want to make brain rot. I want to be a source of value. Like, genuinely. It is one of the most amazing things to me to see young men and men like myself better themselves. I love it. I can't fake it. I genuinely love it. And I think that's what makes a man, is a man that is comfortable in himself, has the self-respect, which should, his body, his physique, his lifestyle, his habits, how he presents himself should exemplify his self-respect. I think a real man wants to see other men do better, and he wants to bring value into this world. So that's what I plan to do to the best of my ability with this content here, is I want to be a source of value for other men. Hey, I might plan on doing debates here and there if I get some, traction and I get more views politically, whether it's the, state of the world today, whatever it might be. I would be planning to have podcasts and discussions with a lot of people. I would love to do that because I think that's some stuff I could be good at. But I've already been talking for 18 minutes and 40 seconds right now, which is kind of hard to believe. So, here we go. I got a red light thing on me right now. I try to take care of my health as best as I can, so you guys are going to see a lot of that as well. And I think I've covered pretty much everything I can. I only got a minute left anyway, so we'll see how this goes. But much love to you all, everybody that subscribes and supports me. It's not going to be easy. This is not going to be easy. But I'm definitely not going to give up. I said I take pride in not being a mindless, indifferent normie. And I try to practice what I preach. I'm a man of my word. So when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to keep doing it. So we're going to see where it goes. And, that's that. Much love, guys.